myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual Jforex, we will be continuing our algorithm development using the indicator named Chande's Momentum Oscillator (CMO). Straight away, we will be heading to the Visual Jforex board, where in a prior session I had done the instrument subscription, where the default instrument is Euro USD. Then I got this position amount defined at 0. After that, the CMO blocks of 4-hourly time frame and the hourly time frame were brought in to define the conditions prior to the execution of the order. To look at the price volatility, this get historical candle of the hourly candle period, and along with that, there is a candle cluster of four candles of 1 hour each. And to retrieve the individual characteristics, we will be using this loop viewer. And to pinpoint the exact entry point, these 10-second candles will come handy. And here we had looked at the price difference between the candle close and candle low for last 4 hours. I think we were utilizing the closing value and the lowest value of these candle clusters, and that was done to make sure there is enough of volatility. And also we will be utilizing this difference, and with that we will define the entry point. I think 30% of this price difference can be considered good enough for the price entry for the new order. On the buy side, we will deduct that from the last tick price, and that would be our entry point for the execution of the order. I will briefly explain to you the logic behind the buy trade. This is the USD JPY chart. I will change it to Euro USD of the hourly time frame. So here we have this CMO in bottom. This is a Cmo graph with the default period of 14, and as you can see, we use this indicator to look at the trend, and right now the trend is bearish, so we have the CMO value below 0. It has been so for quite a while now, so it has showing that the underlying momentum is bearish, and this is the time to look for shorting opportunities. And maybe if the indicator was in play, it would have done the same. So in this case, the sell trade would have been executed when we had this drop for the CMO value below 0 from above 0. That would have been the point of entry for the sell trade. In today's session, the focus is on building the blocks for the buy side. So whenever we will see that the CMO value is jumping above 0 from below 0, the buy trade will be placed. The order for the buy trade will be placed, and this is how we are utilizing this hourly time frame CMO value. Along with that, we are also considering the larger time frame trend, and where we need the Euro USD's 4-hourly CMO output to be rising, and of course it should be above 0, and at the same time it needs to be rising. So as and when the decline will begin, even if the value is still in positive territory, no trade will be placed. So this condition will help us in making sure that the larger time frame trend is also in line with the shorter time frame trend, and only after that the trade execution will happen. So now we go back, and here we will have to define the 30% of this difference, and also certain amount of the difference which will be bare minimum condition. We will compare these calculations result with that minimum value. I think 20 pips should be good enough. We can take 20 pips value as the necessary condition. That should be the minimum price difference between the highest candle close or the last hour's candle close and the lowest value. So that is going to signify that there is enough of momentum on the buy side prior to the execution of the order. So now I will have to bring in calculation expression blocks, and I will take two of these straight away. First I will define 20 pips, and that is fairly simple to do. And to define 20 pips, you will need default instruments pip size and multiply it by 20. I will assign it the value of 20, and this result will be A1 into A2 minimum pips. And then, as I said, we want to place the order below the market price, and that should be 30% of the price difference between the close and the low. So I will have to take this result and multiply 8 with 0.3 to arrive at the desired point of entry. This will be A1 into A2 Okay, and the exact entry point will be arrived at after deducting this value from last tick price. For that, one more calculation expression block will be needed. It's taking a bit too much time. Error code. Okay, I got this. Last tick bid minus BEP. And this will be by price of A1 minus A2. Okay, so we have defined the execution point for the buy order. Now I will start adding the if blocks on the buy side, and prior to that I will have to take the logical component multiple action. For the time being I will join it here, and let us start defining the conditions which need to be in place for the execution of the buy order using the CMO indicator. I will take a couple of if blocks straight away. Okay, now the CMO value of the 4-hourly time frame should be above 0 and it should be rising. I will have to make sure that both of these values are above 0. First input greater than second input in both the cases. And CMO 10 should be greater than CMO 18. CMO 10 has the shift of 1 and CMO 18 is shift 2. So this is the recent value and prior value is this CMO 18. So first input greater than second input. Alright. Now we turn our attention to the hourly time frame where CMO 19 should be above 0 and CMO 20 should be below 0. That will signify that the momentum on the hourly time frame is shifting from slightly bearish to now bullish. So this should be above 0, first input greater than second input, and this should have been below 0. First input less than second input. Okay, so far so good. We have defined this CMO conditions. Now we turn our attention to the price volatility for last 4 hours, and as I said, there should be good enough momentum. So the closing value should have risen at least more than 20 pips from the lowest point. And for that, I will have to take this difference and compare it with the minimum pip difference and P. And in this case also, first input should be greater than second input. I think we have used all of these 6 if blocks I had included earlier, so we will take in fresh couple of this. First input greater than second input. Last hour's closing value should be greater than its opening value. So for that, the candle 21's closing and opening price needs to be compared. Candle 21 candle close needs to be higher than candle 21 candle open. first input greater than second input, and then we will shift our attention to the 10-second candle and compare the closing values with candle 21. So in both these cases, both the blocks, we will add candle 21 close as the second input, and along with that we will have to compare the candle 24 and candle 25's closing values. Candle 25 has the look back period of 22, which means it should have closed lower than the candle 21 candle close, and then candle 24 closed above the candle 21. So here in this case, first input less than second input, and then first input greater than second input, and after that we will take the trading block pending open by limit, first input greater than second input, and its point of entry is defined here. Then we have to define the other parameters as well. Default instrument will remain Euro USD. Trade amount I will change to 0.1 million. Slippage 2 pips should be good enough. Stop loss, since we are working on the hourly time frame, I think the stop loss of 15 pips is fine for the Euro USD, and the take profit 30 pips to make sure that the risk reward ratio is at least 1:2. And order validity we will define in next session, and I think order validity of 2 hours should be good enough for this setup. So now that we have defined most of the condition, let us arrange these blocks where they belong. I will leave out some space as we will need to add a couple of blocks more while defining the conditions for the sale trade. And let us color code it to make sure that the iteration flow is going through, and it is all the way till this order execution block. And with this I will stop here and come back next time, and in that session we will define the condition for the execution of the sale trade, and with that the algorithm will also be complete. So stay tuned and come back next time. Till then, goodbye.